Hey, what's up? Welcome. You're listening to TCDG Radio, Season 3, Episode 11. I am TCDG, broadcasting directly from Tijuana, Baja California. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to have a great time. The title of today's episode, Higher Consciousness. So, ladies and gents, this episode is the final episode of Season 3. And I thought, what better way to close the season than with a very, very special guest? Our very, very special guest is a tattoo artist, a truth seeker, a righteous man. Some of you may know him as a podcast co host at Rhodium Radio. He and Tony host a podcast titled Conversations with Marvelous. He also has his own YouTube channel, Marvelous Minds, where he speaks about enlightenment and cultura and many other things, about personal growth and things like that. So here he is, Marvelous, aka Marvelous Inc. How are you doing today, Marvelous? Thank you so much for being here.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. That introduction was like way beyond what I would expect anybody to say about me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, no, no, of course. I'm so happy and so glad to have you here. I was a little shaky today. I was like, oh my gosh, when you said, oh, I'm gonna be busy with my son or whatever, I was like, oh, hopefully, everything works out. But God heard my prayers. We're good. We're good to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the delay. My bad.
No, no, it's okay. It's okay. No worries. I know things happen. Life happens. So, higher consciousness, Marvelous. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Um, so, how would you, for the common man, how would you, I guess, explain higher consciousness to them?
Okay, higher consciousness. I think there's two forms of higher consciousness, right? There's the form of consciousness what we all think it to be, and then there's the higher consciousness of what the reality of it is, you know? So higher consciousness, people could say, oh, well, I'm learning a lot, I'm reading books, I'm gathering information, I watched this documentary, I went and researched at the library, all this and that, and they're getting information, so they're feeling, a higher consciousness. They're smarter than people, they know more things than people, but a higher consciousness comes from within. It comes from how you keep yourself. That's what's going to raise your frequency into having a higher consciousness. And a higher consciousness is really spiritual. It's not nothing of like learning. It's all spirituality. That's the higher consciousness. And once you start to feed your body with, organic matter and stuff that we're supposed to be, you start to think right, you start to push all the metals out of your system, and then you're really able to have a higher consciousness, whether it's learning, whether it's the ability to see better or run faster or have more energy throughout the day. That all ties in with higher consciousness, if you get what I mean.
Yes, yes, of course. I completely get it. To me, like the way I see it, when people ask me, like, what is higher consciousness, because, people ask me or whatever, I do like, I don't know, maybe you can, correct me if I'm wrong or anything, but to me, like higher consciousness can come down to like wisdom, like being wise, wise
Hmm.
enough to make the right decisions, like you're saying, the proper food, the proper,
Right.
style of life, right? And I
Right.
completely understand what you're saying. People sometimes they have the information, but just because you have the information, it doesn't mean that you're actually um, exuding it or applying it or living it, kind of thing, right?
You're
Or
right. A lot. Yeah, you're
uh-huh.
you're 1,000% right. There's so many. You see scholars on television, or you see people talking about how to live their life, and they're the people that are always pointing their finger at you are usually the people that have the most problems in their life. So I see what you're talking about. I think that we need to lead by example. Like if we're gonna talk about it, we need to be about it. We need to start raising our frequency to a higher consciousness and be aware of our surroundings, because everything is a choice out here, and that choice is either gonna make us or break us, destroy us.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I love, I saw your last episode that you did with Tony, and
Mhm.
you guys were having a conversation like usual, and I loved it how you brought back I don't know what you guys were saying, but it was something that was like a person was acting like irrational, right? And then you brought it
Hmm.
back. You were like, well, that's the young mind. That's the young mind. And
Right.
I really like that. I was like, that really promotes like unity instead of separation,
Right.
like a separation, like the wise versus the ignorant kind of thing. You know, it's like it creates like a battle, right? I
Right.
I kind of I really liked how you kind of like approached it like in a humble way, like
Hmm.
you understand the person, their mind, how their mind is working, instead of being like, oh, that fool's an idiot, you know, like you kind of like take the
Yeah.
time to be like, you know what, he's going through it. He's still not mature
Right.
yet. He's still not there yet.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what?
uh-huh.
I'm so sorry.
No, no, no,
I
it's
didn't mean
okay.
to
No,
interrupt
no,
you.
go ahead.
But the way I think about it all the time is that we're dealing with ourselves out here, whether we want to admit it or not. If I run into a youngster today from another neighborhood, and he's pressing me about something, that's just me, because that's what I was doing when I was his age, you know. So I got to take that mindset into consideration and know what to how to combat that, you know. So I always say, you know, we're dealing with ourselves out here. That's all we're doing, and you only you figure that out when you meet people that are doing things like you. And I say, like I always say it, you know, about it, every 5 years you start to grow another fathom, like
Mm,
another
yes,
step higher, and you see the next generation like graduating, and then the next generation, and then they're making the same mistakes. They're getting in. You walk around, you go to Walmart. It's funny. You go to Walmart or you go to Target, and you see all these young couples shopping. They have the first baby. They're having their, and you look at them and you're like, dang man, I remember when I first had my kid, and I
yes,
was going through all those little arguments and bickering, and I used to conduct myself like that, and you start to change because you're like, dang man, I act like that. I used to act like that. I need to change that. Like I need to adapt, you know, to you know, living in today's, you know, I don't know how to explain it right, but you know what I mean? Like
yes, I
you
do.
learn from people. You learn from people because they're acting out like you know?
Yes, and I love how you're saying that. You know, you're kind of like studying yourself in a way, right? Like you see them
Right.
and you see yourself
Mhm.
in them, so you're kind of like
Yeah.
studying yourself. So that takes like a lot
Right.
of like self awareness, right? And
Right.
a lot of the youth or they're not that aware yet, and like you're saying, maybe it has to do with like their age or something, um,
Mhm.
or just experience, life experience overall. Because like you mentioned in the last episode as well, you were like, just because you're old doesn't mean you're wise, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it takes a certain level of self-awareness, and it's very hard, I guess, to gain that self-awareness when people are constantly like distracted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
distracted, yes, in the food, like you're saying, you know, your body's not working properly, you can't think
Right.
straight, your mind is clouded, and you're just thinking
Right.
about shaking booties and whatever, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, I don't know if you've seen any studies or looked into the studies on metals, metal particles in food and what it does to your thought process, your pineal gland. Have you ever looked into any of that?
No, no, give us some
No.
information. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, there's little nanoparticles of metal in our food. I'll give you an example
Hmm.
for the women that are, you know, barely had their babies and they're feeding their babies infant meal. I will highly urge you to get that infant meal if you are getting it from WIC. Pour it out in a sandwich baggie, and get a magnet and run it on the outside of the baggie, and you'll pull all those metal particles. You'll be surprised how much metal's in there. But what that metal does is it gravitates to your pineal gland when it's consumed, and it calcifies your pineal gland, creating a thin layer of skin around it. That's your third eye. That's your subconscious. That um that's where your dreams come from. It's your everything comes from there. Your pineal gland. They call it your third eye. So yeah, it calcifies it, and it literally it blocks you from comprehending stuff, from paying attention. It causes that ADHD, and people should look into it. You know.
Yeah. My last episode that I did here with my TCDG radio,
Hmm.
I spoke about breastfeeding because I'm breastfeeding my daughter right now. She's 1 year old. So
Okay.
I've been studying like what you said, right? Like all these
Hmm.
ingredients that are on these like infamils and things like that. And the first time around when I had my son, I was too young. I was 18, so I was going through that. I didn't think, I didn't have the info, didn't have the right mentors, etc. Whatever it may have been, right? But this time
Hmm.
around, now I have the information. Now I know that breast milk is the best milk to give my
Yep.
daughter. And
Yep.
when you look at the ingredients, it just kind of like baffles my mind that like when I had my son, the actual hospital gave me like free samples of the Infamil milk, right? And
Yeah.
they tell you like you cannot give your kid fruit juice or not like the sugary drinks, like an actual
Right.
like blended juice, right? Like
Right.
watermelon, whatever. They tell you not to give them that, yet they tell you you can give them this Infamil, which has like way worse ingredients. It just made me like that just kind of like baffled my mind. Like, how can you're telling me to give them this, but
Hmm.
don't give them watermelon. Don't give them oranges. They're too small, but they're not too small for the other stuff. Makes no sense.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I will. Yeah, I completely understand what you mean by that. That-
Another big thing. I'm sorry. Another big thing is, women that give birth, they don't give you your placenta. That's a big thing. That has so many minerals that are important for the mother. And they keep that. They get the stem cells out of that, and they sell all that. They make money off of that. And if you were to ask for it, oh my God, you're gonna go through hell with the hospital.
yeah. I remember I heard you saying something like that before as well, and that got me thinking. Like wow. Um, I'm not sure if I myself would want to have my placenta, just because maybe I'm just too like, maybe I'm
Grossed
too,
out.
yeah, too grossed out, or the system
Yeah.
already got to me and, made me think this way. But I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But just
Yeah.
the fact that we
There's
can't ask for
different.
it. Go ahead.
Yeah, they give you they I heard they make smoothies out of it, and it sounds weird, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of vitamins in there. And then also oh my God, what was I gonna say? They make it into I heard they make it into capsules or something where they're in a pill form, but I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I heard about that though.
Oh, okay. I think that might be something that, might be more like feasible for me, but I don't know. It just gave
Right.
me like the heavy jibbities. So let me go ahead and move on from this. I do have a few other questions, like I mentioned to you earlier, that I want to go over before we started the show. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yoga. Why is yoga considered satanic or demonic?
Well, biblically, that's if you're going by Torah. And I say Torah because Torah is what the Bible comes from. Okay, when it was translated by King James and about 80 scholars or whatever. Um, it is a law that of worship that you are not to worship even your birthday. If you worship any other idol, and that's a form of an idol because you're seeking something that you don't know, like from the universe. So you're not saying there is a creator. You're just saying there's creation, and you're digging into the nine lower realms. And it's not it's just considered satan. Well, I don't know if the term satanic is the right word for it, but
Okay.
it is demonic. I'll say demonic.
Okay. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, there's a high. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. There's a high.
Oh man,
I go. I
I
go.
forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead.
I
Yeah,
go.
go ahead.
Okay. So when I was young, I did take some yoga, like yoga classes, and I
Right.
remember like, and it was mostly like the body yoga, like you stretch. But then I ended up
Yeah.
having like a guru, kind of like a spiritual teacher, and
Mhm.
he was teaching me these like it's like mind yoga, so you kind of learn
Right.
like mindfulness, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
that really like got my self-awareness, that brought to me self-awareness, like a lot of self-awareness, because it kind of
Mhm.
you're able to stop your, not stop, but notice your thoughts, right?
Right.
Notice what you're thinking. So he himself, he told me these teachings you had to keep them very secret, because a lot of people consider them satanic. They think this is the devil and things like that. And I always wonder, like, I never asked him why he was telling me that or why people thought that. But but I guess you
Well,
just
because
you give me some info now. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you go into your position of a transit state, and like I'm talking about crossing your legs, and you go into your meditative state with your breathing technique and all this and that, we're looking at it in a human form. We have to remember that, I mean, if you are aware that this is really a spiritual realm that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
we're just physical beings of electricity living in it. But
Mm,
everything is spiritual. So there's doors that you're opening and closing without even knowing it, by the words that you speak, by certain techniques that they're telling you to do, or certain whatever, like where to take your mind astral projecting. And you could be opening a door to a portal that you can't come back from. A demonic entity could enter you while your portal's open and
mm,
possess you. Like, I wouldn't want to play with that. I wouldn't want to take a chance of that happening.
yeah.
So, I mean, if you do believe in God and the Bible and stuff like that, then if that's a commandment, it was put there for a reason, like, I'm just saying.
No, I hear you. I hear you. So, what do you think, or what would be recommended, like as a way of ceremony for us? Because you're right now you're saying that to me it was kind of like ceremony, like a way to
Hmm.
connect with the Most High. I,
Right,
I completely understand what you're saying with the windows and the portals and things like that, and it makes sense, right? So,
right.
but then it makes me think like, so then what am I supposed to do? Like, not do anything or just pray,
You
or
know,
because I've
you
heard
know
even
what?
yeah,
Go ahead.
I've
You
heard
heard
some.
even who?
I've heard even people say like you're not even supposed to dance. That even dance is like against the Bible. I don't know if that's something that it's extremist or.
Yeah, I don't know. I never heard about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but a ceremony. You know what? And it's sad to like have this conversation and say that, what could we do?
Yes.
Because we don't really have like a lot of us are so-called Hispanic or Latino or Chicano, whatever you want to call Mexicano, whatever you want to call yourself. We don't know our true origins of our tribe and the traditions that we used to keep. But
Yeah.
we do know from the other tribes that keep similarities in their traditions that it's probably something similar to that. So,
Mm,
in a form of prayer, the first thing we got to do, I believe, this is just my opinion, is you got to respect yourself first of all. You have to clear your temple. And that's organically with food, everything you're consuming, whether it's people in your life or food you're eating, you got to take all the negative out first of all. And because when you welcome that into your home, just like opening that your door to somebody walking in, you're letting those entities that are coming with them into your pad too, and surround you. It could cause an argument, it could cause a conversation of mischief, or just things like that, gossiping, and you don't want no part of that. So I say clean your own temple out first, and then you start with everything that you're supposed to be doing. Hey, we're supposed to be living off, plants that have seeds. We or fruit that has seeds. We should really be eating organic food. Then start with your prayer. And I mean, if you believe in God, and some people don't, I can't say don't pray to nothing, but for the most part, just pray to the Most High, or the one that you believe created you, and start to give offerings too. Stop all this. We worship everything. We
yeah.
worship the new trends coming out. We have to have the newest phones. We're everything's distracted. We're worried about the football game. We're worried about this quinceañera coming up. We're worried about all these other frivolous things that don't matter except for getting our life straight. And this is why we keep dealing with our karma. We keep dealing with our karma, and we keep repeating the cycle, and we expect the next generation to change, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and everything seems to be like a debate nowadays as well. Like, and it makes me think like, are people like just bored, or like, does it really matter who's right or who's wrong, or like, is that all ego? Because the way I see it is like, at the end of the day, what really matters is to be a good person, right? Like, if you go through like the social media, like comment sections, everybody's like fighting back and forth, and
Right,
it makes me think like, is this even worth it? Like, are we really making a change? Like, because I mean, I kind of think of like the movie The Matrix, like how Neo was looking for something. Like,
right.
are we just handing them pills without them really wanting them, or you know what I mean, or
Yeah,
like they're
yeah.
not, yeah. So it makes me kind of like, oh, what do you think? Does it really matter that we're giving them the message, or I'm not sure if message
No,
is the right
it
word.
No, it does, right? Because think about it like this, right? They say if you keep repeating something, you keep repeating something, it's gonna drive you crazy, right?
Yeah.
And you take the word change, right? What's the word change mean? The word change means to change the cycle. You got to change the cycle. So how do you make changes? Well, you only make changes when you learn from a mistake that you made, because that's how you learn from it. Then you got to change the direction of the path that you're headed to. So people first of all have to learn how to take constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Nothing's Everything's hate this day. Oh, you're hating. No, I'm correcting you. I'm telling you there's a way to change your cycle. I
Let me
see
do
your
me.
cycle.
I'm sorry to
Huh?
interrupt. Let me do me.
Well, good.
That's what they say.
What do you mean?
That's what they say, right? Like I'm just doing
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah. Leave me alone. I'm in the what do they say? I'm vibing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, but you gotta you gotta be able to man, it's hard to say. This is so hard to say because I'm telling myself right now, man. If I want to go talk to myself, I'd probably flip myself off and be like, man, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm
Oh.
gonna do what I want to do. But I mean, all you can do is give them advice. All you can do is just tell them, hey, you know what? I did this, did that, and don't ever give them a short answer. If you're telling them you're correcting them, show them why you're correcting them. Give them an example. Because a correction without an example, they're not gonna believe it. They're not seeing anything. Well, I haven't seen it yet, or well, that hasn't happened to them while they're doing it. No, you got to show them an example. This is what could happen.
Yeah. I always say like, well, not always. I used to like really want to like correct people before, like, oh, like you're doing this, or in a friendly way, of course. But after a while, I kind of feel like some people were just like getting offended, or like kind of like not taking it, incorrectly. So, I started reading. I read books and things like that, and I remember I came across this one book that said like, kind of like saying like, you don't really like, don't say anything unless they ask you, kind of thing. So I kind of just
Right.
stopped correcting people, because the thing as well, like the thing that I kind of like resonate with is that everybody's on their own path. If they
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have something that, if they feel like I have some information that they might need, their intuition is going to tell them to ask me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of, at the end of the day, I kind of like don't fixate myself so much and like trying to like correct people, or I don't, at the end of the day as well, I don't want to make enemies, kind of thing. Like if you ask
Right.
me, cool. If you don't ask me, cool as well. Like it's up to you. And we are all on our own path to the most high, right? So
Right.
that's where my question came in. Like, does it really matter that we do this, or because at the end of the day, is everything working out the way it's supposed to be? I mean, do you believe in that everything is kind of like working out the way it's supposed to be, or?
Yeah, I think that everything that happens or is happening or has happened is supposed to happen because either our blessing or our karma. But I definitely don't believe in, like, when people say for instance you get a raise at your job,
Hmm.
or you get blessed with a badass car or whatever. I don't consider that a blessing, even though you might think, oh my god, I'm so blessed, like, I got this extra money, I got this. I don't consider anything on this earth any type of blessing. I only
Mm.
consider it I feel like it's just a distraction.
Oh.
Because that's just gonna all that stuff, all this material stuff and the stuff that we see exciting isn't really exciting. The exciting thing is when we leave here, and our ancestors knew that you go to the spiritual place. And that's why they weren't scared of death. There wasn't like, now we are, everybody's scared to die. And it's like before it wasn't. It was an honor. It was a blessing to die because you were gonna be with the Most High.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's beautiful, to think about it that way. And yeah, we do think of like the price, right? And I know
Right.
myself, I have been caught up in that situation, or in that mindset where like, even as a like podcasting or doing my music, I'm like thinking of, oh, shows or the money or this and that. And recently I've been like, I had like this insight, like sometimes people say like you just need to act like the affirmation stuff, like you need to act like you're already there, you need to act
Yeah.
like it's happening already. And I understood the concept, but I think until now I'm understanding that it's not that it's happening like the actual event, or like you're saying, like the actual car is here, or like the actual money. It's like feeling
Hmm.
that you already are successful, that you already are rich, not
Yeah.
because of these things, but because you are alive. Like every single
Yeah.
day is a new day. You are winning, you know? So that
Yeah.
is the blessing. Maybe I don't have the bag yet, maybe this or that, or maybe I might never get it, you know? But what
Hmm.
matters is that I'm doing what I love, and I'm living every day like if it's kind of like my last, I guess you can say, right?
Hmm.
Like with intention and grateful and thankful and appreciating my family, and because it gets really easy to get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. Just say, think of it like, they might have a bag of money and making a bag, but you got the real bag. You got the bag of wisdom and memories and everything that you learn to apply to your next generation that's going to be here, on how to conduct themselves. Your daughters, all your daughters and granddaughters are going to be respectful women. All the sons that you raise are going to be respectful gentlemen. They're going to be strong. They're going to be alpha males. That's the bag.
Yes.
Not just being rich here, and that's a selfish thing. These people are, oh, I want the bag, I want to be rich, but nobody thinks of being wealthy. And wealthy comes with having wisdom, and they lack that.
Yes. And after I had that insight, I wrote like a little affirmation to myself, and it was like I am already wealthy, healthy, full of life, you know? So it's like exactly what you're saying. Like we are wealthy, not in the money wise, but with life, with wisdom and things like that, which is way more important. And the best legacy I can leave to the world is really not my music. It's really not the podcast. Is leaving, like you're saying, my son being a good person or a gentleman, and a good member of
Yeah.
society.
I used a good reference the other night. I think it was, but if you ever seen the movie Troy with Brad Pitt.
Troy.
So there's a part. It's like back in when Rome was fighting, Sparta, and I forgot who it was. They were going against Troy, and it had to do with the story of Achilles.
Hmm.
And Brad Pitt plays him, but in the beginning of the movie, he's supposed to go fight this big old dude, and everybody's scared to fight him. And they got both armies on both sides and stuff, and they're waiting for Achilles to get there. But Achilles is with these women. He's flourishing in the lavish life of being a bad warrior. So this little boy, they send this little messenger boy to go get him. And the little messenger boy, he goes out there and he tells Brad Pitt, he goes, hey, you're supposed to be at the battle. They're waiting for you to fight. You're fighting this big giant guy. And the little boy goes, man, I wouldn't want to fight him. And he goes, that's why Brad Pitt says that's why your name won't be remembered.
Mm.
And you got to think about that. We all think about living life and stuff right here while we're here and enjoying and being in the moment, but we don't think about leaving a legacy behind or leaving. What are you going to be remembered for? The girl that rapped, the girl that had a podcast, or the girl that changed somebody's life. You know, you want people to be able to talk about you, emulate you, show you respect, and be like, no, this is a guy that lived in this time period, and this is what he did for the community or his people, or what he believed in, or changes that he made, and it affected me, so I changed my life, and the domino effect will start.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense, definitely. I have another point that I wanted to bring up as well. Um
Mhm.
you also brought this up during the last episode with Tony. You said that we are all here to learn from each other, you know?
Right.
So I thought that was super like humble, and I thought that is like a to me it came across like a I guess you can say like a really good message, because it brings to me, again, going back, it kind of brings like a air of unity, an air of, you know, brotherhood, sisterhood, that we're all in it together, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
when you say these things, like what goes through your mind, or if that makes sense, or what are your
I
thoughts
think
on that? Yeah.
I think of I think of I think of my grandpa. You know, I think of my grandpa telling me to fight me on, fight me on, fight
Mm,
me on. He used to be at all my fights when I was a little kid, and he'd be telling me fight me on, because I was a little ass kid, you know, a little mijo, and I always used to have to fight these big guys and be like, fight me on, get in there, don't ever be intimidated, you know, don't ever do this, and that's how I see it now. Like, you know, we have to fight. It's not just me. I'm one little ant. I'm a little ant. I'm nobody, but as a colony we're somebody. And if we move together, if we learn together, if we work together, if we raise our kids, you know, they say it takes a tribe to
yeah.
raise a kid. Where
Hmm.
did that saying come from? That came from our people. We raise our children as a tribe. There wasn't no single families here and there and you stay in that hut. No, we all stayed together, we moved together, our migrations were together. And now they have this American ideology in our embedded in our heads that when you turn 18, you got to move away and you got to start your own family and get another last name and lose more of your identity.
Yeah.
Nah, forget that. Forget that. Know where you come from. Know where you know where you're from. Know learn it as much as you can, because so much has been lost or destroyed or hidden. And you know we all have a piece of the puzzle, and if one of us ain't working together, we're not going to be able to make, you know, this puzzle. We each of us has a piece. Bring your piece. Come on, let's get this done.
Yeah. No, that's um like a utopia, I guess you're speaking of. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard. And I don't mean to be pessimistic, because you know, I'm a very positive person. I do find comfort in knowing, or have read before, that even if one of us becomes enlightened, it kind of like raises everybody's vibration, just because you're kind of like taking us up on another step, you know? Like we're
Yep.
kind of like
Yep.
raising the bar, even if it's little by little. It might not be all of us, but little by little, some of us are going up the ladder and pulling everybody up, and the next one goes a little bit higher, and you pull everybody up again, and kind of like, you know, we're leading, I guess you can say, we're leading the show, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like in a, you know, boastful way. I'm just like, because
Right.
you know, I'm still here, and I still see that people you know, it's a lot of work, because I see myself, the work that I have to put in to become, you know, this person that I am now. And
Right.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and a lot of self-reflection, a lot of breaking down, like you're saying, like old concepts. And it's, you know, it's a lot, and not everybody is up to it, not everybody is ready for it. And plus the age thing, people are young, you know, it seems like almost like it almost seems like this kind of message is more towards older, or the wise people of the tribe, you know what I mean? Or
Right. Hey,
yes.
but look at it like this though.
Uh-huh.
Could it be that we're thinking about it like that because when we were younger in the 90s, right? Our grandparents are telling us, "What are you guys doing? That's not dancing. Oh, that's not music. This is music." And we're just repeating. You see what I mean? We're doing the same thing to
Mm,
these youngsters out here and be like, "Nah, we used to wear those clothes when we really gang bang. Now you guys are just wearing it for costume." You know, it's just the same repeated cycle, but in a different way. You know, tweaked out a little bit.
okay.
So, you know, our grandparents didn't put themselves in, you know, our shoes, you know, for the most part, because they were real stern. We got the paddle. We got hit with something. Now there's no spanking at all going on because you're gonna get reported. There's no real discipline. You know, there's no real conversation with your kids. You send your child to school. The school deals with them all day. For the majority of the time, they're with their friends doing whatever. You know, maybe not paying attention. By the time they get home at 3, maybe 4 o'clock, you're coming home tired from work. You're giving them the short answer because you're tired from work. You want to watch your show. You need to make dinner. You still need to wash clothes. You know, and if you're a single mother, then you really don't got time for your kid. You know, so the man is looking up, for a male in the house, and who do I look up to? He's got his homies outside, and that's who he's gonna look up to. Your daughter, she wants your attention.
Yeah.
She's going through her stages of transitioning, becoming a real woman. She's liking boys. Are you there to have that conversation? And then how are you going to have that conversation with your son when you got to talk to him about the anatomy of a male? Now you're worried about finding a mate. You need a husband, and now we're rushing all these things. We're in a rush, and we're in a rush to get nowhere. We're never getting anywhere. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy, it's sad, and there's nobody to talk to, and everybody feels that they're singled out when everybody, nah, the girl that on the next 2 blocks over is going through the same thing you are, mija. I'm sorry. We're all going through it.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. So at this point, I guess, I just gotta keep going with the wisdom and not worry about, if it's
Yeah, if you're,
whoever.
I always tell, yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you again.
That's okay. It's
I,
okay.
I always tell, always tell everybody that little voice in your head that tells you that answer the first time in your head. That's literally they're giving you the right answer. You only want validation from other people because it's going to make you feel good about your decision. Like an example, should I go out with this gang member guy, whatever? He's handsome, he's cute, he's all tatted up, right? You're thinking about him and all this and that. You know damn well you shouldn't talk to him. That answer was already in your head. No. But you call your girl up and you send him a picture. Oh my God, he's handsome. You should get it, girl. Go. You know?
Yeah.
And you go and do that. But the answer was already in your head. You knew. You knew.
Yeah.
You don't gotta call nobody.
Yeah. You knew
It's
what you
called
were saying
discernment.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that word discernment. A lot of people always tell me like, "Oh, you're so judgy. You're so judgy." I'm like, I'm not judging. It's called,
Uh,
like you're saying, discernment. You have to make the right
right.
decisions, and to make a good
Yeah.
decision, I have to study this. Maybe you
Yeah.
don't like that I'm saying that they're lazy, or I don't take it personal. It's not a personal thing, but the actions are showing me that this person is lazy or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying, people are so like, oh, you can't do any type of what did you say, any type of correction or anything like that, because they get upset, they start like crying about it, like people are so
Yeah.
sensitive nowadays. It's like,
You know,
yeah,
people like this scripture in the Bible. It says the righteous shall judge. Because people like to say, oh, they go by that Tupac saying, it's not even, well, yeah, Tupac saying, only God can judge me, right? So
yeah,
people, oh, you're not God, don't judge me, only God can judge me. No, it
yeah,
says in the Bible that in the scripture that the righteous shall judge. That's how you know when you're doing something wrong. If nobody corrects you, you're never going to know. So
yeah.
by you saying something, yeah, you are supposed to judge. Yes, I am judging you only to lead to your correction. So correct yourself.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. And at the beginning, when I first started, like doing, getting all these insights, it was like that, and I felt kind of like, oh dang, like, am I judging? But then the more you, like you said, you read scriptures, you read more, you learn more, and it's like, no, actually, this is what I am supposed to do. I'm supposed to tell you that you're wrong. This is not right. Whether you
Right.
like it or not, you're supposed to be corrected. And um, yeah, I have heard it from a lot of people around me. Like they feel like I'm putting them down. Like, who do you think you are? You think you're the shit? You talk like you're this, and that is like the God. What did they even bring up the Bible? Like, you're not supposed to judge, like you said, like the Tupac thing. Only God can judge me. Like, dude,
Yeah.
no. Like, you're doing something that's not good for your health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing that I want, and going back to the Troy thing, I did have these. It just came back to me. It's this saying here. I heard it here in Tijuana. It's called like Los valientes no van a la
Mm-hmm.
guerra. Los valientes se quedan haciendo
Hmm.
balas. Perdón. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
Los cobardes no van a la guerra. Los
Mm-hmm.
cobardes se quedan haciendo balas. So like,
Mm.
you know, war is only for the brave, for the courageous.
Right.
Everybody else is, just doing the bullets, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, they're just shooting into the air.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let me tell you something else. I just want to bring this up before the we wrap up the show. Um, I found you through. I found out about you through of course YouTube, and you were having or you were doing you were taking this white boy around your neighborhood,
Oh, okay.
and you were reading a poem, right? Like towards the end of
Oh yeah.
you were reading a poem, and you were like so into it, right? And then the guy was kind of like, I don't know if you noticed this, okay? But he was kind of like trying to like wrap it up, and
Yeah.
you were kind of like I'm not done kind of thing, and I thought that was like, to me, that kind of like it touched my heart, like as a person,
Yeah.
oh, like this boy, like let him finish. Like I was just like, oh, that was like, I was like, that's when you, like, you as a personality, or like YouTuber, I guess you can say, between quotation marks, like where I started like following you, or like um yeah, yeah, following you, I guess, your
That's
your
cool. I
journey into
appreciate
like,
that.
yeah, no, of course, I was just like, you came across as a real person, just the fact that you were
Right.
so willing to like read this letter that a lot of people will be like, oh no, personal stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome that you were so open to do that.
Thank
um
you.
yeah, no, of course, of course, thank you for taking the time to be here, and having this conversation with me. So before we go, is there anything that you want to say, or anything that I didn't mention? You want to shout out your whatever, your YouTube channel, whatever you want to do?
Yeah, people could find me on YouTube at Marvelous Minds. Minds is spelled with a Z. And then on Instagram at Marvelous Ink underscore tattoos. On Facebook under Daniel Ayala. Or in person, you can hit me up on my cell phone. My cell phone's on my Instagram. So for any tattoos or anything you want to know about that I could help you with, any information, I'm glad I'm helpful to be here. So I just want to say thank you for having me, first of all, on the show. Thank you for following and just appreciating, my story. I really appreciate that. And then thank you for everybody that just tunes in, and just takes whatever I say, and applies it. And, we're all here to learn from each other. So, let's build this castle together.
Nice. Yeah. No, thank you so much for being here, Marvelous. I really do appreciate it again that you took the time to be here. I know you have probably things to do, like we all do. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart so much. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up then. Thank you
Yeah.
guys so much for tuning into TCDG Radio. I hope you enjoyed this episode. What are your thoughts on higher consciousness? Let me know. Comment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay in the loop. Also, connect with me on social media to get more of me and my music. My social media and contact information are on the video's description. Again, thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and for allowing me to share this time with you. I will see you all next season. Take care. Saludos.